the efficacy big.
I want to do that. Let me stop that. And I'm going to get us started so you can have as much time as possible. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming. If you don't mind, take a moment and put your what school and what district you're in the chat so we can see where everyone is from while I introduce our people and what's going on. So I just want to, we're wrapping up our our professional learning series, actually. This is the next to last one. Our final one will be in December because later on this month, of course, is our annual conference. Yay! So I hope you all have all signed up. If not, it's not too late. You can come to the in-person version, which will be Thursday and Friday, October 26th and 27th in Athens, or you can join us online on November 3rd. And then on November 16th, we're having another social. So we'll be sending out details about that in the next week. So you can meet your board members and hang out with other Georgia TESOL members. That'll be great. And so, yeah, so then there's the last one in December, which is about becoming a DLI endorsed teacher. So we hope you guys will join us. Tonight, we have a great set of presenters. We've known them for a while, which is lovely. They're well known to Georgia TESOL, so we just love them. Let me just introduce Cathie Seibert. She's a principal. She's the principal at Fair Oaks Elementary in Cobb County. She says one of her favorite quotes is from Zig Ziglar, who said, "There's no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs." So true. And so she works to ensure that every scholar at her school or that she comes in contact with has the tools to open the doors of opportunity. And she's an industry changeover, which is awesome because I am too. To education with experience from the military, social services, and some other things. Heidi McCravy is, wow, she's got a lot of experience. She has a BBA in marketing and sales, another switchover, and an MAT in ESOL and reading from Kennesaw State. She's a part of the Tier 1 educational leadership, and she's currently enrolled in, oh wow, you're busy, getting her EDS in educational leadership and Tier 2 educational leadership. She has 15 years of experience as a high school ESOL teacher, ESOL lead, department chair, and an ESOL assistant principal. Now, both of them are active and into adventuring in sports, and I would say both of them are also lifelong learners. So without further ado, it's our privilege to welcome Cathie Seibert and Heidi McCravy.
Hey everybody, and thank you for the introduction. We definitely appreciate that. And before we get started, I wanted to say a couple different things because we have worked together for many years. So this is my 17th year supporting the Osborne cluster schools. And Heidi and I worked together at Osborne many years ago. Yes. And have done urban education together and ESOL supports together. And we've ran the halls and tackled children together. So we have done it all as far as that goes. So we are delighted that you have chosen us to work together for this. So first of all, I just got to say, if you support ESOL and it's 5:30 in the evening and you're on here, I just want you to put your hands up, give yourself a pat on the back, because I am so proud of you for investing in the lives of kids, because PDs, anything like this that we get to glean from each other and grow together builds community, builds advocacy, builds legacy. And I'm going to get us started off here. Heidi's going to run the slides, and I'm going to start talking just a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to Heidi, because she actually is the guru of all things, and I'm just going to talk from the helicopter perspective. So you get us started. Right. Before we start, I have to tell you, I don't know if, I know there's people from a lot of different places, but I got to give a shout out because we have the best federal program in Cobb County. The ESOL consultants, the ESOL director, the ESOL team, we can't do this work at the local schools without great systematic support. It starts at the superintendent all the way down. We are so fortunate to have a really good pillars to lean on. And then at the local school, I'm just telling you, as a local school principal, I know everybody thinks they got the best. I know that, but you know, I have literally hands down a building full of ESOL leaders that are leading this charge. I'm not here because I'm great. I'm here because they're great, because they do the work and make some amazing things happen, not only for Fair Oaks, but for us system-wide. So that's why I'm here. And I wanted to do a fun thing because I love fun things. Oh, I love fun things. Okay, so I have just some pictures here. And what I would like to do is, because I want you to reflect on your stuff, because I just put a couple pictures of here and I'm going to talk a little bit about them. But what I want you to do in the chat is, if you could, do a little see, think, wonder of what's the good things that you're seeing in this picture. Do you recognize anything that you'd be like, what? That's me. Now I'm going to talk about the pictures, but if you have any see, thinks, wonders in there about something that you might be interested in, could you invite? Oh, somebody put in community. I love that word. Thank you. Anybody else? Can you give me anything? Celebrating children's success. Thank you for that one. Anything else from the chat box? Oh, let's see. Can we get anything?
Joy.
Joy. I love Joy. Oh, it's my middle name. It's not really, it's Sue, but we won't say. Wondering about the mascot. Yeah, we were going to get an eagle, but we got a chicken instead. You know, community support. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Ashley. I know you're driving your kid to soccer. Celebrating the School of Excellence. Thank you, Melissa. All right, happy kids. Who doesn't love happy kids? Love happy kids. Excellent. Anybody else wants to chime in? All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about these pictures that are here. So Fair Oaks was recognized from Imagine Learning as being one of the top performing schools. But I did a constellation of like lots of different slides together. And I call it a constellation because it's like a galaxy out there, because we have so many things. I just like to make up words. But so this is actually recent. This is from last week. And I got to give credit to our ESOL team because they're geniuses. Because year one, when we first started this language launch, we started with this like, okay, we need to make improvements. And I'm going to talk a little bit about there. But then, you know what happened? Our ESOL team's like, no, Seibert, we got to drill down. And each individual student and scholar in this building has to know where their language scores are, what they're doing, and how they're being successful. I was like, that's a genius idea. I love that. So this right here represents a slide outside every single student's classroom, and it's a rocket ship. It's going to the stars, right? And our kids are like, they'll tell you exactly where they're at in Imagine Learning, how they're doing in their literacy, and they start moving their little icon up, and they have a number on them, and they are just rocking it out. And so yesterday we had some students that have actually graduated from Imagine Learning, and they've moved on to Progress Learning, and we're super proud of them. But this is the biggest thing. You see a community that celebrates ESOL. Not only do you see it celebrated, but you see it shouted from the rooftops. There's not one person that doesn't know that we are an ESOL framework school. So I just got to just say, that's not me, that's the team. So will you advance the next slide for me real quick?
Absolutely.
All right, so let me give you just a background about Fair Oaks so you can see who we are. And I'm just going to tell you this. If you are a Cobb County employee, you got to get into Elevation, because I'm telling you what, that data in there is fabulous. It is so good, because you know what, this slide I got from Elevation, and it's a live data from yesterday about our kids. And here's one thing that I had an aha moment was, because I was looking at this, and you might not be able to see the slide because I'll go over it. What it talks about, which I think is really important, is the majority of our students that are at Fair Oaks. We have a lot of ESOL students, like more than any elementary in Cobb County. But the majority of them, I know this is all news to you ESOL people, because you guys are geniuses, but they're all born in the United States. That to me is amazing, because a lot of times our general ed counterparts, they don't realize, they just start assuming, right? Assuming, yep, they're all from different places. No, they're from the United States. And this chart just kind of tells you that in a great little summary. What's great about it is you can educate our friends as far as like, no, they're from here. So they have a lot of bank and a lot of stuff that we can pull out of them, because the perception oftentimes, and I'm sure Heidi can speak to this, is that when you're talking to somebody who doesn't work with ESOL students, they assume that if somebody gets ESOL services, oh, they're automatically, which a lot of them actually were born in the United States and we're leveraging their language skills. That to me is an aha moment for a lot of general education teachers that don't recognize or realize that. It's also important to educate our special education teachers, because sometimes we have those duly served servants and they make assumptions about language that is not accurate with the data that you can pull from Elevation. I'm just throwing it out there. Did I say Elevation?
I love it.
I'm just
And she's
throwing it
getting
out
paid,
there.
right?
I'm not getting paid, but it's good stuff. And when you have good stuff, you need to talk about good stuff. So this was our reading increase. So we started last year and we made a 65% reading increase, and we made a 61% as a school increase. That's something to celebrate right there. I'm just going to say right there, our data is something to celebrate. But I'm going to go into how we started this journey and this learning, because we truly are believing in building a community of advocates. That's what we're here for. That's what we started doing. And this work was before I got here. I'm not taking any credit. This is just what we've kind of been able to do in the last couple of years. We've had a great support from the county office through Dr. Webb's team, and then our ESOL consultants all the way down to our local school. Much better, really rich PD for ESOL, and that has really helped us out. So as a whole school district, our students compete in Imagine Learning and they get prizes. By the way, we have the top winner for this year too. And it's the same girl. She's right here. She's amazing. She's like, I broke the system. I totally broke the system, Principal Seibert. And I'm like, you were always breaking the system. She's amazing. Her name is Samantha. And you should remember her name, because one day she's going to be doing brain surgery and she might figure out a cure to my ADHD. But if she doesn't, it's okay, because she is going to change the world, because that girl is a student who is loving language learning. Not only her, but all of her classmates. So we are truly invested in building a community of advocates, not only for our ESOL team, but our other ones. So I'm going to take you through our 3-year journey. So the first year we started with our go-to strategies. And are there any of my friends here on the call? So we had our ESOL director that did our go-to strategies in our summer. That was the first year I came on board. And I was like, everybody needs to know these ESOL strategies. And then my part as a billing leader was to say, okay, I need to see it in your lesson plans. I need to see the evidence that the strategies are in your lesson plans. So there's a little bit of a hiccup there, because as a building level leader, you can write anything you want in the lesson plan. I'm just saying, you can go to page like 49 in this. Here, I'm going to pull it up. This ESOL go-to strategy, and you can write it down in your lesson plans, but we better see some evidence of that. So instead of just writing into your lesson plans, our goal was to actually build it out and see it in instruction. So we started with that. It was a little rocky at first. I'm just going to say, anybody from Fair Oaks, you can speak up and say it, because we didn't have a lot of buy-in at first. And it was a little bit more challenging, because they were like, oh, this is great. Will this go away? But it didn't go away, because we stayed consistent as a team. We were like, no, we're going to be very consistent with that. So we used the go-to strategies checklist, and our teams, our ESOL teams, and all the grade levels started talking about the go-to strategies with their teachers and saying, hey, this would be a really good strategy for you to try. You should do that. But then as the years gone on, they're like, listen, you need to do this strategy because it's work. And they show it and they model it, and then the teachers use it. So year 2 comes along. And the cool thing about year 2 is we decided, rather than students being pulled out and doing Imagine Learning, because that was about 75 to 80% of our students, we did it as a system-wide approach. Because I don't know if you know, but language learning is important for all of us because we all practice speaking. So what we ended up doing is putting in a tier 1 strategy where everybody does language with Imagine Learning for 20 minutes a day. And so we worked on that, and then teachers put it into their reading centers and their reading cycles. So it was kind of throughout the day, but it was just different times. And so then we started doing language awards for students, and then we trained teachers on how to use Imagine Learning. Well, I don't know about you, but if you're an ESOL teacher and you have trained your general education counterparts, and sometimes your generation, they don't necessarily listen to you. They think it's a really good idea, but they're like, okay, but you can do it. You can do it because they're your kids. Like, no, they're your kids. They're your kids. So they had to have that buy-in and ownership that they were their kids. And so then we started with the curriculum implementation of the ESOL strategies embedded into our integrated lesson plans. So that's what we ended up going to year 2, integrated lesson planning, and then language and literacy walks, which we were very fortunate that our district came out and did the language and literacy walks and gave us some really great feedback for our teachers, which I think is very powerful if you've not done them. And then last year, our ESOL team did their own inside literacy walks to walk each other and give each other feedback, which, by the way, is super powerful. I'm just going to say. I want to take a breath. Does anybody have any questions yet? I can talk really fast. I'm just saying. All right, so year 3. This is our year 3. We're on year 3, and now we have protected time for Imagine Learning. So the entire school from 8 to 8:20 does Imagine Learning Monday through Thursday, and then Friday we do free write Fridays. And the reason we did that is because writing is our biggest hurdle as a school. It is absolutely our biggest hurdle. And we are trying to figure out a way to increase students' love of writing, because writing is the most difficult part. And we all know that on this call. And so in order to do that, we did free write Friday, which is it's supposed to be fun and enjoyable, because I don't know about you, but how many times we sit and we talk to kids about writing and it's just very structured. And sometimes they just need a chance to just have a voice and just practice the art of writing without any kind of judgments attached to it. And so we are starting to do this free write Friday to help take the fear out of writing for our ESOL learners, because there is a lot of fear associated with writing. And so enabling them to just kind of have more confidence in that, we're very excited for. I'm just proud of our teachers because they're just amazing humans. And so the teachers are taking a lot more ownership of the ESOL strategies. And then our next goal is to be able to take all of that and then use elevation to then give those strategies. And I'll give an example of Jerry Barnes, because she's giving those elevation strategies and supporting her team through the use of live data with their students and having them understand what does that framework mean. And so we're doing some system-wide training on PD days for elevation to support our whole entire staff, because that's our goal. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're working on getting there, and working on getting there is part of the journey of becoming better and becoming better advocates for the cause.
Love it.
And so the only other thing that I can just say from a building level part, because I know that it's kind of my part is not, we do, like, I get personal, I use our finances. I get people to basically, if people get ESOL certified, then they get reimbursed for that. If they take the course, they get free G passes if they take the ESOL endorsement course. And we seek out people that basically are looking to do those structured strategies. So we intentionally hire ESOL. We intentionally seek out supporting students. And our first grade team is the first team that all of them are ESOL certified, and they got G passes for like a week. Who don't love a G pass? I'm just saying, like, let's get a G pass in there for being ESOL certified, but then using the strategies and following up. And so then our goal is to really invest in the elevation as a tool for supporting teachers, because the data is amazing and students need to know where they are learning, where they're growing, and it's systematic. And so you should be able to go up to a child and say, what's your level in Imagine Learning? What's your reading level? How are you progressing? And the kids are used to having conversations like that with adults in our building, so they are flying. And that's pretty much it for me, because my part is not as exciting as Heidi, because she's amazing. So if anybody, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. And so I'm going to turn it over to this fabulous counterpart. And I think somebody put something in the chat. And I can't.
Yeah, Dr. Webb's gonna get.
Okay, Dr. Webb's
And
got it.
Ashley's at your school? Is she
No.
here? No, okay.
No.
Yeah.
All right,
Perfect,
but I'm
perfect.
going to turn it over to Heidi, and then I'm going to be her Vanna White. You
Did you
can
wanna
skip.
be more
Nah, you
welcome?
can skip
Okay,
that.
okay.
I'm going to let her go. I'm going to be her Vanna, and she's going to move over into the
We've
hot
got like
seat.
technology going on over here. Okay. I can't believe I have to follow that. Okay. I'm Heidi McCravy, as you know, and I'm going to talk to you about strengthening speaking and writing output, because I don't know what districts y'all are from, but I know a majority of you are from Cobb. But looking at the data, that is something that our students struggle with. So we're going to discuss some things to help. So right here is just a quick little image that you can look at. I'm not going to read to you. See the input and the output. Of course, your input is when they're listening and reading, they're taking it all in. But the output, if Cathie even spoke about it, was the writing and the speaking. These are all interconnected to form our language learners. So we tend to do well on listening and reading, but it's the output that we're seeming to struggle with. So, okay. You can come off mute. You can put it in your in the chat. Why do you feel that our students aren't speaking? What are some of the reasons? I want to hear from you.
I feel like my students are self-conscious of how they might be judged by their peers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is one of the reasons. Anybody else?
I feel that my students are speaking well. However, in the access test, for some reason, I don't know, because it's timed or there's a timer or something, they're struggling with the access test speaking, the domains in speaking, but usually they speak very well.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I saw a couple of fear. What was the other one? I agree. Lack confidence. They don't want to make mistakes in front of classmates. Yep, I see all these, and you're exactly right, Rosanna, where it's like they get to the access test, and my worst thing that I hear a teacher say is, well, I hear him talking to his friends on the playground or at lunch, so I don't know what the problem is. And I'm just like, okay, well, there's a difference between obviously our social language and our content, academic language that we have to do. Yep, lack of opportunity to speak. Yes, Dr. Webb, absolutely. We're not giving them a chance, and that's where we're going to lead into next. Okay, so as she spoke about elevation a lot, and some of you may not have access to elevation because you're in counties that do not have it. However, these are strategies that I've pulled from elevation, and you can use them in your classroom. Of course, you won't have the access and the live data that we have, but these are easily implemented and not a lot of prep for teachers. I'm a big advocate for teachers not having to spend hours and hours of planning, but to be able to have some activities and strategies in their classroom that they can quickly put together so that they will do it. Because a lot of teachers are like, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work. Okay. So this is hanging hashtags. It's one of my favorite ones that get students speaking. So this is a 6th through 8th grade example I did about students doing theme. You get a content objective, and we have our language objectives, and then our learning targets, where we're going to analyze an image related to academic content. So we're going to use that academic language. We're going to discuss with our peers, and then we're going to write a hashtag, because of course, we do hashtags on Twitter and Instagram and everything. And no matter what, I know these young kids even know what a hashtag is. Okay, go ahead. Thank you. So here's an example. You can pull anything you want off the internet. You do Google images and you can get everything you want. Right here, we took 4 to 6 images that reflect the theme of trust. You got rock climbers. You got a lady that looks like she's about to jump off something. You put these up around the room. You can put them all up the front of the room, whatever you want to do. Students can work together depending on their levels to get them speaking. They can work in pairs, however you want to do it. Again, this is K through 12. So you have each student rotate to these different images, and they have to find a common theme or idea that is with all these images. And I would use Post-it notes, and I would have them write their hashtag, one hashtag to kind of just put it, and you make a frame around these pictures. Then after that, as a class, we're going to start to guide. As a teacher, you're going to guide them about this common theme and idea that we're working on. And it gets them talking, and the kids start raising their hand. Well, I see them jumping out of the sky. What are they doing? Well, why do they trust that the parachutes are going to come out? I don't know. Look at this guy walking across the tightrope. And then it kind of leads to theme. And of course, in English language arts, you use theme. So this is one of the quick hashtags that we use, or quick strategies that we use. Now, here's some how-to and supports, because a lot of people, and this is where elevation does come in handy if you do not have elevation, but want to use the strategies. Like I said, elevation has the data tied to it, but you can still do it, is where it gives you the level 1 and 2 support and the level 3, and it ties it to your students. But if you have level 1s and 2s, and you should know them in their speaking, provide them with a word bank, visuals, encourage them again to partner up, think with their partner, small group. Your level 3, you're going to encourage more chatter and collaboration during the creation of the hashtags. Of course, your 4 and plus should be doing this. You can also take this hashtag activity, if you would like, take it to the next level and have them writing. Have them write, 2 sentences. Use some sentence starters. You can move it to that. I like to use this activity, or tell teachers to use this activity for introducing a new topic to your class, or to something that you try to activate prior knowledge. So this it can also be a closing, even at the end, like almost similar to a ticket out the door, where you kind of wrap up class with, okay, what we talked about today, let's bring this all back together. Great quick activity, low prep, kids love it, they're up and moving, they're talking. Good. Okay, our next thing, why are students not writing? Because remember, we're doing output, speaking and writing. Come off mute, put in the chat, why are our students not writing?
They're afraid. That's what I'm gonna say.
Afraid?
I'm
'Cause
just saying,
yeah,
I'm gonna come off
they're
there.
afraid.
And
They're
they're that's the building that confidence.
Yes,
piece, too.
exactly. Anybody else? Does anybody feel, even with the older students that have the phones, have the chat, has the text messaging, the quick little, has that affected, do you think, people wanting to write? Or AI, now that we've having to deal with it in the, in the upper grades? Does anybody feel that way? Okay, go ahead.
I think in the writing, because of the texting and such, the messaging is, they're not creating full sentences. They're missing on how, and the spelling even, all of these acronyms. So to be able to put their thoughts into a cohesive sentence that is academic, and academically appropriate, they're not doing that anymore.
Absolutely, Roseanne. And Lisa, the same thing. High schoolers do not like to write. They like to text and send their little Snapchats, and it just makes it easier. I mean, it's just, we've gotten away from it, and it is hard, and nobody likes to sit down and try to, you don't know where to start. So here is another quick activity, low prep. This is round table. So what you do here, and this is a little quick organizer that you can see on there, and you could quickly make one of these. This is from Elevation again, but you could quickly make one of these. You do a prompt. What we would do to start out, just to get the students comfortable, was do a prompt about just something random, not even something that is content specific yet. Something about, something that went on this weekend. The fair was in town, okay, in Marietta. So let's write about the fair or something, whatever. And you do the prompt, and you have a group of students, and each one of them writes a couple of sentences to their response, and they pass it on, and they add to it, and they keep passing it around to the whole group. And you see, you got like 5 responses there. So the peer will look at it. The peer will add a response as well. You can see they'll read their peer's response and then add to it, and they continue reading and writing responses of each member in the group. Again, quick little graphic organizer that you have, small group of students. They're not feeling like, intimidated to write with a small group of students, and we're passing it around. What we need to do here, though, is a teacher would model by presenting them with this practice prompt that we did for non-academic. Yes, Melissa, we'll get that. A word bank will be helpful with this. So you would do the non-academic, get them going. You would model it up. You would do one up on the board. Then you can move into something. This one is a 9 through 12 social studies example that we had in Elevation. And Did the assassination of JFK lead to the extension of the war in Vietnam? So students, of course, that's 9 through 12. They're going to have to really think about this, and they're going to have to use some academic language. The word bank's going to come in handy there. Also, some sentence starters for your lower proficiency levels, and we'll look at those as well. Right here, you see your writing levels 1 and 2, providing the modified text, additional visuals or supports. Your newcomers can shadow a peer, so you're not putting them on the spot, because you know how we talked about how they kind of get fear. Don't put them on the spot. It's their first day. They just came from a different country. We're going to not make you do this. You know, you shadow one of your friends and kind of see how it's done. Level 3, your signal words, maybe some sentence stems with them. And then you're moving to 4 and plus. You're going to challenge those students. You're going to take them to the next level. Most students, we have over here the supports, students are not able to respond, don't have access to or understanding of content or academic language. You may struggle with that. Again, you're going to go back to assisting them, putting them with a peer, and letting them kind of work through that, and then moving them along with that. Some takeaways that we want to take for speaking and writing with any languages, as Dr. Webb always likes to say, they're English learners every day, all day long, no matter where they are. Gen Ed teachers, ESOL teachers, special ed teachers, PE teachers, they all have to have language in every one of these classes. They need a supportive environment. They need to feel supported. Cathie touched on that, by their teachers, by their peers. They will take risks to feel if they're in an environment where they're safe and supportive. So also repeated practice. It's like anything else. You can't go out and play a football game if you never went to practice. You can't go play a basketball game if you never attended practice. You have to repeat. Repetition in the classroom is great with these students. And I think, I know being you do a great job. Your teachers seeing that, and you have to do this with our ELLs. Modeling. Students need to be shown what's expected of them. You can't just hand them the sheet of paper and say, okay, I need you to write this. Read it and write it. No, you've got to model. You got to see what you need. As adults, we even want that. Well, what do you expect from us? We need to see it. Speaking opportunities. I always say the teacher, yes, you're going to go home tired because you are a teacher and you are going to go home tired. However, you need those students to go home tired. They need to be speaking. They need to be talking. They need to you need to allow them to speak. Don't just sit up in the front of the classroom and talk to them. Have them. You need a rich environment where it's student-centered and you have a lot of interaction going on. And you can facilitate by going to the different groups and different interaction, but you need to allow them that time. As teachers, we get up there and we start and talking, but put it back on them. And this is one of the things that we did personally at Osborne, and this is something that you may want to look at your data. We call them bubble students. We saw the students that they could have exited through access, but if their speaking scores were higher, it was speaking that was holding them back, for instance. So we set aside a time to practice with those students. That it may be a group of 15 students, 10 students. You may be able to give caseloads to some of your ESOL teachers during their planning to pull them, or find a time. Okay, I don't want to take away anybody's planning, but find a time.
Like where they're planning.
Yeah, right. So find a time, set aside time to practice. Use headphones. There's so many different speaking platforms you can use. Get them used to doing that and talk to them about it. Okay, well, if you would have said, the sky was blue with the birds flying through, and we need more out of you. We need more academic language coming out of you. Sit there with them, tell them what you want of them, because what's on the access test. They're looking for that complex sentences. They're looking for, you give them more descriptive words, and coach them up. Again, you have to coach them like you would if they were going to play in a game. So coach them up, look at that data, and you can get those kids to the next level and exit them out of the program that way. This is a big one for us. And we always say this: celebrate the small successes. Celebrate just because a student didn't exit out, but they moved up, 3 points in this domain, or celebrate that. Cathie is wonderful about doing that at her school, as you saw in her PowerPoint earlier, is that you just celebrate the success. Success isn't overnight. It's every day when you get a little better before, and it adds up. And that's so true. You have to celebrate all the small successes because we don't want these students to get discouraged. We want to keep them pumped up and positive, and even, scoring a couple more points than they did last year is a success.
Yeah. And I'm going to add a couple things here, because as we're talking about writing, this year we started the 5-star sentences as a school-wide initiative, where they have to
Anyone?
About writing, because our ESOL team is now serving and writing as much as we can to try to build that part of the platform. Jerry, you want to come off?
Yeah, we have made a checklist for our first graders, you know, the 5-star sentences of what that entails, capital letter, you know, everything that it entails, and they know exactly what they need, and they'll check it off as they're writing.
That's great. Because I can say, as a former high school person, if it starts at elementary and they're learning the basics all the way up, then it only helps when they have to start taking these high stake tests. It's, they take them in elementary, middle, but obviously in high school, you have to have them, and to graduate ultimately is what we want to do. So
Yeah.
students need to know they're making progress, because it takes time for their language to develop. Absolutely.
And that's the biggest thing that I think the biggest change in for Fair Oaks is that we celebrate everything every day. Like there's no time that we are not celebrating.
Right.
I mean, we have a Jerry who's on the call. She changes out our leaderboard for language every single week. And so our kids, they love to see their names on there. But now that her team individualized it, then in every single hallway and every single class, every week they move their person on how they're doing on their language, and the students are tracking it, and they are passionate. And we had some of the leaders come in, and they were asking, well, what level are you? They're like,
Yes,
and they're so proud of it. And the fact that they can articulate how they're doing is fabulous, because ultimately, if we're doing the leading, we're missing the point. They got to be leading themselves and supporting their own language growth, because if we are the ones that are holding the reins, we're missing the point. And as far as serving ESOL students, they have to understand their language and where they're coming from, because it only allows them to grow as humans. We have to be able to be like, it's okay. We want you to grow in this, and it's okay. And we're constantly saying that to kids, and it's not it's a great honor to be able to serve. And that's what we have to celebrate as educators in this field with ESOL, is that giving them that responsibility, but also celebrating every single journey along the way, because that in and of itself helps them to take ownership.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm slightly passionate about that.
She
All right,
is.
questions.
Q&A now.
I know. We would love to open it up for Q&A if anybody has some feedback for us.
Yeah, or comments. Yeah, anything that you've
Comments?
done or want to add to.
Can you all speak to how because you both described like kind of whole school initiatives. How are your ESOL specialists working with content teachers to help those initiatives happen?
So and any of my content teachers, if you want to come out on mute and add to this conversation, you guys are the rock stars. So our ESOL team, they lead in the CCC meetings and the PLC meetings. I know everybody has PLC meetings across the state, because that's a state mandate, right? That's not anything that has to do with a certain county or not. We're all accountable to the PLC process as educators. And so our ESOL teachers are helping leverage those discussions in their grade level teams. And as a school, what my job is as the principal is to monitor that. And then in addition to that, our ESOL team also is responsible for sending out to the parents, hey, this is what we're working on, and here's how you can support at home every week, because we have the tools, we have technology to give it to the parents in any language. There's no excuse to not, because we have it in every language. You can Google it, can even the best. The parents love the fact that you include them and that you are supporting them. So it's a 3-part thing, because you have your gen ed counterparts that you have to educate. You also have to help the parents become educated as far as what strategies are the most effective for their students. And then we also have our other support staff, which is our specialists and our other teams. And I'm the one that actually meets with our specialist team, and I meet with them and their CCCs. And then we look at everybody else's language. We will go to strategies, and then we talk about how we can integrate science and language into those classrooms as well.
I'll speak from the district level. We go in at the district level for as a ESOL consultant now, and we go into the schools. We were just in one last week where we had some content teachers that are ESOL certified, but they're not in the ESOL department, but they have ESOL students in their classroom, and they just needed some strategies and some assistance on how to reach these kids. And so at the district level, you know, schools email us, hey, can you come and do this? And we'll pull 3 or 4 teachers out. We'll do one for, you know, just the science department or the social studies department, because we're supporting on that level as well. Cathie just had us out the other day, just invited us out to come and walk into her classrooms and just kind of see what was going on and how the language was being developed. Just, you know, non-evaluatory, just looking at things. And so from a district level, we're in the schools and supporting the teachers any way we can.
And another thing is ESOL, I do first grade, and we go into their planning and we actually plan with them. So like I plan writing, do the slides. Well, I collaborate with them, but we actually plan with our teachers, and each ESOL, each grade has an ESOL support person, and that support person goes into their planning every week.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember when I was at Osborne, I told my ESOL teachers, you are the advocates for our students. So you're going into those CCCs, you're going into that environmental science CCC or that biology CCC or whatever, and you're advocating for our ESOL students. They, you know, because they all are in different classes, and you're the expert for that CCC. So there was at least one representing at some time, so that these teachers, you know, I don't, what am I supposed to do with this ESOL student? He doesn't speak English and I don't know what to do. So they were in there was a representative.
And I'm going to say this, I know I have to I just got to shout our school, because let me tell you what, I'm really big on instructional walks. I think everybody should walk every classroom all the time if we could, because it helps the craft and getting teachers out of their rooms into other rooms. And I'm going to give Miss Nichols she's our IEL teacher. And we have another ESOL teacher that is another great teacher who's pulling out, working with our newcomers. And they were able to walk each other, not because they're all really high level teachers, all of them. But at the same time, when we walk each other and we learn from each other's craft, we grow as humans. We really do, because every other industry does that. And we always say, don't work in isolation, don't work in isolation. But yet we have to allow reflective time for people to go out and see everything else that's happening in other grade levels. And we talk about it, but we don't do it as a systematic approach. And we've really worked hard to build the foundation for that. And so, I mean, you see people are in our classrooms all the time because that we're doing kind of a transformational model. But the reason we chose to do that is because we want teachers to get comfortable being and almost celebrating the success that's in their classroom and letting others see that, and them going out and seeing other things. We can't do it unless we start really opening the doors and really embracing what does language look like for everybody, because it's not just for the ESOL students. That's the thing, is they have just as much to glean from. They have so much value that they bring to the table that goes untapped, because oftentimes they don't get noticed, and they have to get noticed, but they only do that when we set ourselves out to go see all that. Sorry, I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna get off
Just gonna get on a tangent.
Listen, I'm passionate about this.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, it's Roseanne. So
Hi,
as you talk
Roseanne.
as you talk about visiting each other, so I work in high school. So what you have done in your school does not work for us because I am the only science ESOL environmental science teacher. So I was just wondering, I love that. And I've been, in meeting with the all district teachers and just collaborating with them in district level PDs and just on our own, we always say, oh, I'd love to see you in action. Is there any way, Heidi, that you might be able to facilitate a day where somebody could see me from Osborne or South Cobb and I could go there and, across our content, because we can also do it within like environmental science or biology, but that's just two of us,
Right.
and we are working in the same school. We're already collaborating, but I'd love to see what they do in other schools like mine, like the Campbells, the
Yeah,
Osborne.
it's similar. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I see Dr. Webb shaking her head. We could definitely plan that. I saw her eyes light up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're excited about that. Yes,
District
Roseanne.
level
Absolutely.
PLC on environmental science, baby.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we as a local school, if you talk to your principal, not even with ESOL, but like all of my specialist teachers, PE, art, music, all that, because they're singletons, they go out and see every year, they have to go out and see other programs. And because it's healthy. So if you talk to your building leader, you may find that there are avenues that they can do to help support that, because collaboration is great. No matter where you're at. I understand you're a singleton, and I'll just tell you this, you're a rock star, okay, for doing what you're doing and advocating. But then see if you can get some release time to go in and see other classes and look at like speaking, listening, reading, and look at those WIDA frameworks, because to me, that's also a very powerful thing that you bring to the table that others may not know that they have access to somebody like you in their building.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, send me an email, Roseanne. We'll get that done.
I just want to point out that one of the things that's cool, and if you're not using elevation, then look at the WIDA go-to strategies. But we need to always, when we're doing writing, we always need to be pushing kids to that next level up. So if they're working on, and we need to get them engaged in writing in a fun way too, right? So WIDA has really gotten a favor for us because they've paired representing with writing, so students can draw and illustrate. How many of them would love to illustrate a story, an anime story, and then they can write the story to go along with it? I mean, there's ways we can use that aspect to get kids who wouldn't write maybe on their own. Then the other thing we can do is really make it transparent. Cathie and the team at Ferrix does such a great job of getting the kids involved with knowing where they are and where they want to go next. That doing that with writing and showing them, you're writing, short phrases, or you're labeling pictures and stuff like that. The next thing is, let's write a longer sentence. Let's connect that sentence with and or but. Let me show you how to do that. So let's get it to the next level of complexity. And then let's start connecting those sentences and those paragraphs. And I will say one last thing, because the first thing professional learning I ever did back when I was a teacher and when the earth was cooling, but it was a long time ago, was do a writing workshop in the summer with some UGA professors, and teacher modeling of writing your own text in front of kids and sharing your own text with them is powerful. Now I'm shutting up.
Yep.
You can say anything you want, Dr. Webb. Any other questions? Because those are great. I really am inspired by our ESOL community as somebody who, obviously I went through my ESOL endorsement as an educator, as an administrator actually, but I am super passionate about what you stand for and what you do across the state of Georgia. I don't care if you're in Cobb or not in Cobb. You know what? You are making a huge difference. I hope that you know that from a building administrative point. You definitely work super hard to be advocates for change for our students, and thank you for leveraging your life to this work.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Cathie. I just wanted to just say, I know there's at least one teacher on the call who is in a smaller district, and there may be more. I just want to say that, you've heard a lot about elevation on this call, and elevation is great, but truly we started going all in on the strategies. And if you are gonna need to be low tech with the strategies, we didn't stick with the go-to strategies as long as we would have, because we were able to transition to elevation. But you heard Cathie talking about the fact that we were out there and we're training folks on it. And I put that link in the chat. You know, there are teachers in the district, when they got those booklets, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh, I can try that. Oh, I can try that. And it is across the domains of reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And it does tell you how to address it across the different proficiency levels. It's a great little booklet. And you know, so one way or the other, I think giving teachers strategies and going in and modeling the strategies for them is powerful, because teachers will then adopt it and make it part of their repertoire.
Yeah. And you know, here's the other thing is that several of our upper grade teachers, when we first had the go-to strategies from WIDA, they actually used those, and the students were able to create their own authentic learning tasks using the strategies from that. So having the teachers almost a backward design where they're using that and then creating their own products, that was pretty awesome. We have one of our great teachers up in 5th grade was definitely able to do that with Ms. Kilpie, who's also on the call. So that first year that we had it, they were able to not only do that, but then put it in the hands of the students, and the students, they know the strategy, they love it, and they love to use it.
And there's a great comment in the chat from Melissa Martin about how she's empowering teachers, empowering students using the Proud portfolios. Thinking about that, the students can see the evidence of their learning right there in front of them. And you think about it, sometimes our kids have got to feel a little bashed down because, you know, maybe it takes them a while before they can show their knowledge on like a standardized test, because those are stressful and they're real decontextualized, but they know they've learned, they can see it. So it doesn't undermine their confidence. And that's what, you know, you've heard this from Cathie and Heidi both and from the team, but Fair Oaks is building not only teacher efficacy, they're building student efficacy. The students' belief in themselves is getting built in this school, and it's so cool to see it.
Can I make a comment about that? I'm the one who wrote that, and I did Proud Portfolios was the first elevation thing that we started off, because I wanted to collect their work, and it's a way to help me get organized, but also let them see. And we plotted it on a graph, and we let them see not only year to year how their access scores have been doing, but they also have, we had a graph for how they were doing each year. And then I looked at it, and it was very abstract. And then I was taught to them at the very beginning to get to know these students and say, well, you know, what kind of things do you like? And asking them, you know, do you like, and the big question in the school is it Messi or Ronaldo? Like, are you for this team? You know, they know the soccer players.
Right.
And I said, I want you to think about this point. Now you are right here at a 4.3, and we've got to get it over that goal, because, you know, we talked about what is a goal. When you put it into their language and you start connecting with them, you know, they even like choose what color they're going to plot it with based on it, you know, if they're for Messi or Ronaldo. But it makes it to where it's real for them when they think of that target is not just a plot on a graph. It is them reaching that goal to get out. Because I said, you know, I love you, and I really would love, and some of these kids I did look at their graphs, and many of them were born here and they're 5th grade and they're still not exiting. Then we've got to help them really take control. And it's like, I said, I am your training wheels, but I really want, when you get into middle school, you don't want to be in this class. I want you to be able to take these other things. That's making it real for them. That's not just plotting it on the graph. And every time we sit down, when we go over those language targets, we're going to do reading, writing, listening, or speaking. Today, we're going to do this. Let's see where we were. Let's look at how we can do this. And let's see how we can write as much as we can. I'm getting so much from them. But that Proud Portfolio is helping me, and the graphing, and it's almost exactly like what I saw with that, you know, them moving their icons up in Imagine Learning. But we're doing this, and it's showing them. And if they don't give me as much, I'll say, now that'll keep you on. That's about a level 1. You just, your answer, let's bring this, let's add a sentence to this. Let's make it a full sentence. Let's add some things. And what do you notice? And all of those things then can bring, it's bridging that gap also about what the teacher is doing. So anyway, but the soccer thing really has hit home with all the boys. Not as
Absolutely.
much for the girls, but all the boys.
Making connections with your students are huge, huge, and having them take responsibility for their own education, because as they get older, you know, middle school and high school, because you're fifth grade, it's huge too. But making those connections, even in high school, they love that. You know, you're like, you know about that soccer player? How do you know that? Because you know you're uncool, you're a high school teacher, so they're like, you know. But oh, absolutely, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I saw the coolest thing happen last spring at the celebration of Imagine Learning over at the middle school, when I was sitting on the stage and I was looking out, and when the middle school orchestra was playing, one of y'all's ELs was sitting about 2 rows back, and he clearly had never seen an orchestra play before. And he looked at the orchestra and he went, how do they do that? And the next thing I know, Cathie's standing up there saying, guess what? When you do well and go to Pearson Middle School, you can be part of this orchestra. And that's what, Melissa, that's what you're doing right there. You're saying you can fly, you can go past this. I love this so much. And it really is giving them just the wings and teaching them that they can do well. You know, one thing that I'm just thinking about, I've got a kid who's 24, my own kid, who's writing essays right now to try to get into her business program. They're going to have to write essays to get into college if they decide they want to go to college. They have to, you know, let's just teach them now. Hey, you got to write essays to tell who you are and tell your story. So we're teaching you how to do that so you can fly. So thank y'all for inspiring us and showing us the way on this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else? I think we got a few more minutes.
Well, if we don't have anything, I just want to say thank you to my ESOL team for not only being here tonight to represent what they do. And I just want to say on behalf of Fair Oaks, I'm very thankful that we have our district support as well. And because I think that's a big key in all of this is celebrating, and everybody, because everybody loves to take care and celebrate leaders that love to do literacy. So thank you guys. And language. I could do a bunch of L's.
I like those L's. Yeah.
Thank you guys very much
Yes,
for joining us. Heidi, thank you. Look it up.
Yeah, we
Dude,
did.
we need to
Yeah.
take this show on the road. Dr.
You guys
Webb.
do. Okay, so let me just say, you know, a whole bunch of Cobb teachers are going to be at Georgia TESOL. I don't know who Ashley and other folks are on the call. I don't know if you're going to be at the Georgia TESOL conference in Athens, but come if you are there. Look for, because there's going to be great folks from Fair Oaks there, and there's going to be community. And Georgia TESOL is all about building really a statewide TESOL learning community where we're all strengthening one another. And that's really where we are. That's where my heart is. That's why, you know, that's why Dr. Terrell's heart is here. And, you know, and Ms. Seibert and Ms. McCravy, they're doing this. And all these folks who are on the call tonight, you know, they're doing this to learn, but they're also doing it to share, because, you know, what's working for us, if it works for you, if it resonates with you, it helps more kids, because we're all passionate about this work and we all believe in it. And, you know, so come to get, if you're not going to be there, then, hey, by the way, there's going to be a Georgia TESOL 2024, Ms. Seibert and Ms. McCravy, when you could present this, you know.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Thank
she
you.
asked me, she's like, why didn't Dr. Webb get
I
me?
know, man. How would I do that? I'm like, wait, I could do that. I got it. We got you, Dr. Webb. Thanks for having us.
Thank you all so much. Thank
Dr.
you
Terrell, do you want to close everything out?
all. You already did it. So
She was like,
Sorry.
we're doing. Oh,
You
thank
guys do the social. I will say one more thing about the social. I'm out of town for the 16th, but Rita Jimenez has got us covered. She's going to be having her social very close to Cobb County. And so it's going to be at some great barbecue restaurant she knows. So look for that if you guys would like to get together in person on November 16th. And those were a lot of fun last time, and you can meet people in person and have some good food and talk to people and get great perspectives. And then, yeah, and the next Dr. Terrell is already hard at work on the next iteration of the professional learning series. It's going to start in January 2024.
Perfect. Yay. Thank you, everyone.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Good night.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys.